Oh, I'm up.
It's like a real leadership. We don't know who's in charge.
Hey, friends. Hey, guys. We're really excited to get to share a little bit with you today. We miss you. We've been praying for you guys. Yeah, we're excited.
It's been exciting to jump into this new place, the Hub, and to dream about what we're going to do with kids. But honestly, we're doing golf practice because we can't bring kids in right now, and it hurts. And I think this week, particularly, we wanted to send out a video because we know this was beginning the trend where 3 of our 4 summer trips will be happening back to back to back. And a number of us, we're getting ready to go to Lake Champion tomorrow. And I got to tell you, I'm aching. I'm hurting. I have not been this excited about a summer trip in a long time, and the guys that I got to be in a cabin with. And so I know that many of you are feeling that same angst and like, this is so different, what do we do? We were going to follow up that trip with Wildlife and then with Young Lives. Capernaum would have already had their trip. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, and we just want to be able to speak to that.
Yeah, and the realities of COVID-19 still happening. We're still in a pandemic, and how do we even engage with kids? What does that even look like? And I know many of you have been still Zooming with kids or FaceTime, texting, Instagram, all the things. But what does it look like in person? And the big thing that we just want to encourage you, if you're in town or looking forward to the fall, what does it look like engaging with kids in person? And it has a lot to do with parents this time around. It has a lot to do with what you're personally comfortable with, where you feel safe, but also when we hang out with kids, we're making sure that their parents are in for it and they know about it and they are giving approval for it.
Yeah. And for example, I had dinner with a group of guys just a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And these are college age guys, and one of them said, hey, my parents said I can't meet if it's not outdoors. And so we made sure we had an outdoor table or we weren't getting dinner. And so just check. We don't want to make anyone feel bad for that. We want to be safe and smart. At the same time, Jess, we thought COVID was enough of a world changer.
Right.
And the world's got even, I'd say, more heavy, if that's an appropriate term to use. Our regional director said this phrase a few weeks ago. He said, when COVID-19 happened, the world got flipped upside down. And then after George Floyd's death, it got caught on fire. Yeah. And I think, especially because we're distant, we are feeling this, at least on my end, more than maybe I would have in a normal pattern of we just go on from day to day like normal. Right. And there's a lot going on we're wrestling with, you're wrestling with, and we want to acknowledge that.
Right. So a little glimpse into me. I mean, years ago when Trayvon Martin was killed, I think I remember being saddened by that, but I wasn't rocked by that. And the reality is I think the Lord has stirred my heart towards people of color for a long time. I can think back to a specific situation in 8th grade, and so it's been a drum I've beaten for a long time, but this year has been different. And part of that is having a daughter who is Black. And many of you guys know Millie, some of you guys do not. But walking alongside of her in this season, I'm experiencing things differently, shamefully, honestly, where Juneteenth, for the first time ever, really figured out what that was and celebrated it. Millie bought me a shirt that said Juneteenth on it. I wore a shirt that said Juneteenth on it on that day, and it was transformational for me in a lot of ways. It made me think about it, made me learn about it, made me think about engaging with people about that in different ways. She's experienced blatant racism many times over her life, but specifically, and stories I could tell you about 5 times in the past 2 months where she's been said very hateful things in the grocery store next to our neighborhood. And so it is real and it is grievous, and we're leaning in.
And I think that's the important thing, is that each of us are walking through that in different ways. And what we want to encourage is, this is not a corporate stance or standpoint to say you need to feel a certain way, you need to post a certain way, or you don't need to post. Right. What we want to encourage is to continue to lean in. And more than anything else, especially for those who are white, we just have a lot we need to learn. Right. We have a lot we need to acknowledge and be aware of. And so for me, where that came out this summer, Jess, was an opportunity with a group of pastors. We shared earlier that there was a letter that was published in the paper and spread in other places with 25 pastors of very significant churches in town, all predominantly white. And we said this earlier, but I want you to know how encouraged I want you to be that Young Life was the only non-church invited to be a part of that. And I believe that's because of a history of 60 years of clearly working in the community, wanting to reach every kid.
Right.
And so after that, I've been doing Zoom calls every Monday afternoon. I go to school. We have book reading assignments and movie assignments and audio things to listen to, and then we get together on Mondays. And Bishop Sir Walter Mack of Union Baptist Church leads that time. And I'm going to be honest, it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of times things are shared that I either struggle with, disagree, or don't understand.
Right.
But I don't know if I would have had that opportunity before.
Right.
And I'm so honored in that we have about 30 folks on it, white and black pastors, and we're trying to figure out how to bring the gospel into the midst of our world. That's what Young Life's always been about. So really excited about that opportunity. At the same time, we have other things that raise up and different concerns. In the past week, Do Better Young Life, a phrase we'd never heard, suddenly was popping up all over the place. We know many of you have thoughts and questions on there, and we just want to encourage you to come ask us. The big thing, and this is collectively, is social media is powerful and can do incredibly good things.
Right.
It's not a great place to have conversations. And so what we'd encourage you is not to try to answer back in the midst of that as much as engage people. If someone you know is writing and they're hurt, we need to listen to them. We need to enter in. It doesn't mean we need to have a new line that goes back to them on social media. That doesn't really help.
For sure. And we realize this, guys, we're all on different spectrums, right? We all have our own stories, our own backgrounds, people we've known that have been hurt in all the different ways of being oppressed and inequality. And so we want to give each other the grace to be where we're at and give each other the grace to not all be on the same page in this and to wrestle in the ways in which you and I and all of us need to wrestle. And so we just want to say that we want to love you and recognize, hey, you're in your own personal journey with this, and that's okay. And the Lord wants to meet you in that, and we are confident He will meet each of us individually in that. And so, but we do want to come alongside of you, so don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions, or we want to listen. And that is one of the things I think we really have learned the most over these past couple months of what does it look like to lean in and really listen and try our best to understand people's perspectives and stories.
And if you can imagine, one of us here is much better at that than the other. But I want to give an example where that happened. The Monday after George Floyd's death, Jess and I met in her office to talk a little bit. What should our response be? How do we go through? And honestly, Jess and I were at different places right then, again, because of our current situations. And I don't think I was feeling the weight of it yet. I know I wasn't. I'm still not. But a few days later, I was on a Zoom call with a group of guys, 2 white, 4 African American. And when I heard my friends who I love share their feelings there and the angst coming out, that hit me in a way that I hadn't before. And so just know that you may also be going, hey, I'm kind of on to the next thing. Just know that we're all in different places. Lean in and give each other grace, which I feel Jess has given me a lot of grace. And at the same time, we get to balance out what's our best response. So here's the encouragement I want to give you guys. We know this to be true, but I think it's been harder in this season. The good thing of being out of our norm is we really get to wrestle with things that maybe we would have quickly moved past in our normal day-to-day. We would have thought about something, we would have posted, but then we went back. Well, now we have nowhere to go back to. And so we're wrestling, and that's good to be dealing with it. But what can also come out of it that's unhealthy is kind of anxiety that just builds, and then we just look at all the things that are a mess and the things that are good that are not happening. And I don't know about you, but that's been my biggest challenge this summer. And I was able to take a little solitude week away, and one of the places that the Lord drew me to was in Hebrews 12. And starting in verse 1, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." And we looked at this together as a staff this past week. And, you know, everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, I think is, again, where we're getting to hear stories of people who have been entangled and have been weighed down by other people's sin. At the same time, we know that we each get bound down by our own sin. We forget that the truth of the scripture, that Jesus sees us through God sees us through the lens of what Jesus has done for us. I think sometimes we believe it for kids, not for ourselves. And so I want to encourage you that whatever is entangling the sin that's holding you down, that's not where we're meant to live.
Right.
And so wrestle, but don't live in a place of shame and guilt and not enough. Struggling all summer, Clay and Jess and I have had these conversations of, we feel like we should be with kids, but is it safe to be with kids? Can we do summer campaigners? Can we not? And there's no easy answers. And so just don't put that burden down on yourself. Instead, verse 2, let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. What's your view of Jesus right now? Do you see him? Does he feel way off? Do you feel like you've been walking alongside him? I'd say that in June, I felt pretty disconnected. I went to the desert to have a solitude retreat because I'm an idiot. And so, but out there, I really felt Jesus saying, I long to be with you. I love you, Andrew. I don't love what you do as the most important thing. I love you. And the invitation to keep my eyes focused on Jesus, because when my eyes are focused on Jesus, then all this crap that comes up, I get to see through that lens, not just through the lens of the crap. Right. And so that's an encouragement for you to consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Friends, you are known, you are seen, you are loved. You know the things that we tell kids? Believe it for yourself. Believe it that it is true, that he delights in you. Read this the other day, that God is too busy delighting in us to have any time to be disappointed in us. I think I needed to hear that, and I hope you do too.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Let's talk about the fall a little bit.
Yeah, so the fall. We don't have any idea what it's going to look like either. Let's be real. None of us do. We got no idea. So we don't know what your lives are going to look like, our lives. We definitely don't know what high school, middle schools are going to look like.
In fact, yesterday they sent out the email to parents of what the plan is, and they said there's plan A, plan B, plan C, and we have no idea which one we're using. And so it could be pretty much back to normal. It could be 2 days a week and at school, some at home. It could be all distance learning. They don't know at the school level system.
No. And so more than ever, I think, hands open, surrendered, Jesus, we trust you. And the reality is Young Life is not programs. We know this. Yep. But we get caught up in them sometimes. And so Young Life is relationships with kids. It's earning the right to be heard, to share the gospel with kids and help them grow in their faith. And so we're going to do our best to walk alongside of you guys and help us as a team, as a body, figure out what does it look like to just know and live life with kids in this next season. And so we don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be good, baby. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I think it's a sense to know that, for leader placement, let's kind of give a little details around. We process, do we do a Zoom over the summer? Do we wait till we're back together? Do we even know what schools look like? And honestly, I think we felt that's been one of the biggest things since March, is I'm thinking right now of all of our new leaders ready to be placed and don't know where. Thank you for your patience. We came to the decision, we think it would be better to be together. And so we are going to wait, and Wake has a delayed start this year. So along with that, we have a staff conference that got pushed back to that same week. So we're going to wait till the Sunday after Wake started. I believe that's the 30th. I don't have it in front of me. But we're going to look at the 30th. We looked at the idea of Sunday afternoon before evening churches or Sunday night. And we've, with a lot of discussion with our student staff and other folks, we're going to go with Sunday night, 7 o'clock, August 30th, will be our time together. We're going to plan on being in here. Will it have the same feel as other ones? No, but the great thing is the new leaders, they don't know what it ever was before, so it'll be new to them.
The best one ever.
So we're going to be placing new leaders. We're going to be placing our new staff. By that point, Caroline and Erica will be in place, and if you've not connected with them yet, just know they're amazing. We're also so pumped that Courtney Ewing and Abby McMullen are both coming on student staff. So our leader placement is going to be exciting. What's Leader Weekend going to look like? We don't know. because right now we couldn't go rent a lake house like we did last year. So we will plan on being together. If it's here, it's here. If it's somewhere distant, but we'll probably plan on it being here tentatively. And we're looking at the weekend of September 11th. Part of the challenge is the fact that there's a football game on Friday night. But is there going to be football? We don't even know. So if you can just plan on having that weekend clear, if we can start Friday night, we will. If not, we'll do Saturday and Sunday. But the plan would be you sleep in your own bed. We'll do distancing for food, those kind of things. But we really value being together, and we don't want to miss that.
Oh, it's going to be so good. So here's also a reality. We know, again, that this season of life has affected all of us in all kinds of ways. And we want to just say, hey, we love you and we care more about you and your relationship with Jesus than what you do for Young Life. And so if any of you are in a place where you're not comfortable coming back to school, you're not comfortable continuing to be a leader, your parents aren't comfortable with that, we want to talk to you about that. And we want you to know that there's no judgment. We want to give you freedom as you wrestle through that. And if some of you feel like, hey, I may need to step away in this season, that's okay. We love you.
Yeah.
We don't want you to, but we will come alongside of you and support you if that's where you feel led and where you feel like you need to do in this season to take care of yourself. And so feel free to call us, talk through your fears, your concerns, whatever it is. We are open 100% to have those conversations with you guys.
And clearly in this setting, Jess and I are closer than 6 feet. And so we understand some of you are already losing your mind at that. Generally, we don't. We wanted to make the video work. But I think that's important. We want to honor folks in the midst of that. I do think that ministry will be more needed this next school year than it ever has before. Right. The issues of anxiety, of depression, of uncertainty, kids who would rely on, I go back and I play football, there may not be football. Kids who are used to there might even be kids who don't get to go to the school of choice anymore. They have to go to the neighborhood school they're assigned to. There's going to be a lot that is rattled. So many folks who have lost their jobs and how that affects their family. The need to be in the lives of kids will be greater than ever. So we're not diminishing the need, but that doesn't mean everyone right now is called to be in there. Yeah. And the truth is, we have conversations all the time of folks who, hey, I'm not doing well in my faith. Hey, my commitments on other things with my family are too much. Whatever it might be. So just know that maybe COVID has a different challenge. We'd rather have that conversation soon than you feeling that guilt going into the school year and then you didn't feel comfortable saying something. Yeah. So with that, I want to celebrate with Clay and with Jess that we're going to have a do to celebrate the end. Wait, why not?
One more day, buddy.
Yeah. What do you mean one more day?
One more day. Sorry.
No.
One more day. One more day.
It was June 10th, wasn't it?
Yeah, one more
Great. I'm just going to drink some more water. I hope you didn't spill that because I'm going to drink all of that tomorrow.
Sick.
Hey, we love you. We miss you. Thanks for some time with us this summer to check in. And we're going to look at having a leadership via Zoom the last Sunday in July. And so that's July 29th? No? 29th?
It'll be in your email.
You know it is.
It's fine.
But we'd love for you to, if you can join us that night. Again, not mandatory. We know summer, people are all over the place. But just feels like it'd be good to be back together. So until then, love you, miss you.
Bye, guys.
Back to golf.